Sit down.
Close the door. Lock it if you have to. Because what just happened to Tasha K inside that courtroom is not a regular L. It is not a slap on the wrist. It is not a she'll bounce back next week type situation. This, right here, is the kind of legal beatdown that ends careers, drains bank accounts, and leaves your own lawyer crying on the curb next to you. And before you even ask, yes, her lawyer caught a fade too. They walked into that courtroom together, and they walked out of that courtroom together, both bleeding from the same wound. You guys have to hear this from the top because every single layer of this onion is rotten in a different way, and by the time we peel the last one, you're going to understand why Cardi B's legal team is no longer playing patty cake. They are coming for the full $3.9 million. Not the discounted 1.2, the whole bag. And Tasha K? She did this to herself. She lit the match. She poured the gasoline. She handed the lighter to her own attorney and said, "Hold this for me." Let's get into it. Rewind the tape for a second, because some of you are new to this saga and I refuse to leave anybody behind. Back in 2022, a jury, 12 regular human beings sitting in a regular Atlanta courtroom, looked at the receipts Cardi B's team brought in, looked at the videos, looked at the blogs, looked at the captions, and decided that Tasha K had crossed every line a content creator can cross. She had said Cardi had STDs. She had said Cardi was a prostitute. She had said Cardi was on hard drugs. None of it was true. None of it could be proven. And the jury hit her with a verdict so heavy that it made every gossip channel on the internet sit up straight in their chair. Almost $4 million in damages. $4 million. For a woman who had built her entire brand on talking sideways about other women, that number wasn't just a fine. That number was a tombstone. And instead of paying it, instead of negotiating it, instead of taking the loss with whatever dignity she had left, Tasha K did what a lot of people do when the bill comes due. She filed for bankruptcy. She told the court she didn't have the money. She told the court she couldn't possibly pay. And eventually, after a whole lot of back and forth, Cardi's team agreed to a deal. A deal that, on paper, looked like Tasha K was getting a gift from heaven. $1.2 million paid out over 5 years, instead of the full $3.9 million owed. That's a discount of more than $2.5 million, you guys. $2.5 million.
Gone. Erased.
Forgiven. All she had to do was shut her mouth. That was the deal. That was the entire deal. A non-disparagement clause. Plain English.
Don't talk about Cardi.
Don't talk about Cardi's mama. Don't talk about Cardi's daughter.
Don't talk about Offset.
Don't talk about Stefan Diggs. Don't talk about anybody who shares oxygen with Cardi B. Not on YouTube. Not on Instagram. Not on Twitter. Not on a podcast. Not in a group chat that might leak. Not in a whisper. Nowhere.
Period.
And Tasha K, with her own hand, holding her own pen, signed her name on that line. She agreed. She nodded. She walked out of that negotiation thinking she had outsmarted everybody. But here's what people who watch Tasha K for a living already know. She cannot help herself. She literally cannot. The woman is allergic to silence. Talking about Cardi is her oxygen. Talking about Cardi is her rent money. Talking about Cardi is the only thing that keeps her algorithm warm. And so, almost from the second the ink dried on that agreement, she started doing the one thing she swore she would never do again. She started talking. And not subtly, not cleverly, not even creatively. She started running this little game that Cardi's lawyers ended up giving a perfect name. They called it the cat and mouse. The post and delete. The hit and run. Here is how the post and delete actually worked, because some of you don't fully understand the level of disrespect we are dealing with. Tasha K would record a video. In that video, she would say something messy about Offset, or about Cardi's family, or about Stefan Diggs, or about something that obviously orbited around Cardi B's life like a planet around the sun. She'd post it. Within hours, sometimes within minutes, Cardi's lawyers would screenshot it, archive it, timestamp it, log it, and fire off a notice.
Take it down.
Tasha would take it down. But here's the part that turned this from a misunderstanding into a war. The next day, or sometimes the same day, she would do it again. Different topic, same target, different angle, same energy. She wasn't taking the videos down because she was sorry. She was taking them down because the lawyers caught her. And then she'd do it again because she thought the takedown was the punishment, and as long as she deleted, she was fine. That is not how this works. That has never been how this works. Every time you post something, even for 15 minutes, the damage is already done. Screenshots fly. Reposts happen. Reaction channels grab clips. By the time the lawyer's email lands in your inbox, the internet already has copies in 12 different folders. So while Tasha was thinking she was being slick, Cardi's legal team was building a binder. And by the time they walked into court this most recent time, that binder had over 25 documented violations inside of it.
25.
25. Not one accident. Not 2 slip-ups. Not 3 rough patches. 25 separate, intentional, screen-captured, time-stamped violations of an agreement she signed with her own hand. And let me paint a picture of what 25 violations looks like in real terms, because that number flies past most people's brains without landing. 25 violations means that, on average, Tasha K was breaking her agreement with Cardi B more than twice a month. Every 2 weeks, give or take, she was sliding back into the topic she was paid $2.5 million to never touch again. Imagine you got hired at a job and the boss said, "Don't touch the red button." And every 2 weeks, you tap the red button. Then you say, "Oh, I didn't mean to." Then you tap it again. Then you say, "Oh, my finger slipped." Then you tap it again. Then you say, "Oh, I forgot which button was red." After the 5th time, you're not getting fired, you're getting investigated. After the 10th time, you're getting sued. After the 25th time, you're getting walked out of the building in handcuffs. That is the level of pattern Cardi's legal team was looking at when they finally said, "We are done warning. We are filing." And the binder they brought into court was thicker than most law school textbooks. Page after page. Screenshot after screenshot. Thumbnail after thumbnail. Caption after caption. Timestamp after timestamp. The judge could not unsee it. The judge could not pretend it was a misunderstanding. The judge could not buy any argument that this was an accident, because no accident in human history has happened 25 times in a row. And the thing that finally broke the camel's back, the thing that made Cardi's team say, "Enough is enough, we're going back to court," was the offset stuff. Tasha K, in true Tasha K fashion, decided to go for the soft spot. She started talking about Offset's gambling. She allegedly said the man was at the casino 5 days a week. She said he was using other people's money to feed the habit. She said, and this is the part that pulled the pin out of the grenade, that he would probably still be in his marriage if it wasn't for the gambling. She didn't say Cardi's name in that moment.
She didn't have to.
Everybody on planet Earth knew exactly which marriage she was talking about. And that is the trap she walked into without even realizing she was walking into it. Because in the agreement, Offset is named. By name, specifically. Before that paper was even signed, both sides made sure his name was carved into the document like it was a tombstone. So when Tasha's lawyer stood up in court and tried to argue, "Well, Your Honor, Offset is an independent public figure. My client should be allowed to discuss him," the judge basically looked at that argument like it was a crayon drawing.
No, sir.
He's named in the agreement. You signed the agreement. Your client signed the agreement. You don't get to redefine the words now that they heard. Now, here is where the story stops being a regular legal saga and starts being a horror movie for Tasha K, because the judge didn't just rule against her. The judge ruled that she has to pay Cardi B's legal fees. Every dollar of them. The bills that piled up while Cardi's lawyers were chasing her around the internet for over 25 violations? She's writing the check. She has to take down every single piece of content that even mentions Offset across every single platform she operates on. Not just the obvious videos. Even the thumbnails. Even the older posts. Even the merch designs, if his name is on them. Even her own logo if it appeared on a video that mentioned him. Strip it. Wipe it.
Bury it.
And the judge wasn't done. Because Cardi's lawyers brought up something that made the entire courtroom go quiet. They told the judge that Tasha K's legal team had been citing fake court cases. Cases that did not exist. Cases that looked, smelled, and tasted like they had been generated by artificial intelligence. The kind of hallucinated citations that a chatbot will spit out when it wants to sound smart but doesn't actually know any real law. And in 2026, judges have zero patience left for that nonsense.
None.
So the judge turned to Tasha K's attorney, the one who was supposed to be protecting her, the one she was paying to keep her out of exactly this kind of disaster, and slapped him with a sanction too. A penalty. Around 10% on top of the attorney fees that his client already has to cough up. Read that twice. Her own lawyer got fined for the work he did on her case. Her own lawyer is now writing a check because of how badly he handled her business. That is not a normal day in court. That is a once-in-a-career embarrassment. That is the kind of ruling that follows a lawyer to every job interview he ever has from this point forward. And do you know what Tasha K did when she walked out of that courtroom? Do you know what her first move was? She didn't go quiet. She didn't issue a statement. She didn't call her PR person and circle the wagons. She went on Instagram. She went on her own platform. And she tried to turn the whole thing into a comedy bit. She did this little voice. She did this little routine. She acted out of fake conversation with her lawyer, who she was calling Chad. She had Chad saying, "We lost. We lost the war. We lost the war." She had herself saying, "Wait a minute. We both got fined? You too." She had Chad saying, "Yeah, I gotta pay 10% of your attorney fees." She had herself saying, "I'm used to losing, but I always overcome." She acted like getting hit with sanctions, getting hit with takedowns, getting hit with attorney fees, getting hit with the loss of an entire $1.2 million payment plan was just a Tuesday. She acted like her dignity was still intact. And listen, I get it. I understand performing for the camera is in her DNA. I understand that admitting a loss publicly would feel like dying for somebody whose entire brand is built on never being wrong. But you cannot joke your way out of this one. You cannot punchline your way out of this one. Because while she was on Instagram doing voices, Cardi's team was already drafting the next motion. The motion that asks for the full $3.9 million. Not the 1.2. The full bag. The original number. The one she filed bankruptcy to escape from. They want it now. They want it immediately. And they have every receipt they need to argue that she forfeited the discount the moment she opened her mouth about Offset. Let me explain why that's so dangerous for her, because some of you are still hearing $3.9 million like it's an abstract number. It is not abstract. The whole reason Tasha K got to pay 1.2 instead of 3.9 in the first place was the non-disparagement clause. That clause was the price tag of her discount. The judge essentially said in plain English, "Cardi, you don't have to chase the full amount as long as Tasha keeps her mouth closed." Tasha did not keep her mouth closed. 25 times she did not keep her mouth closed. So the legal logic is brutal in its simplicity. If the only reason for the discount was the silence, and the silence is gone, then the discount is gone. The full debt comes back. All 3.9 million of it. Plus the legal fees from this round. Plus the sanctions on her attorney. Plus whatever interest has been quietly accumulating in the background of all this drama. We are talking about a woman who said in open court that she didn't have the money for 1.2 million spread over 5 years, now staring down the barrel of a much bigger number due in a much shorter window. That isn't a payment plan. That is a financial extinction event. And let me be even more precise about what financial extinction means in 2026, because I don't want anybody walking away from this video underestimating the damage. $3.9 million in the bank account of a small business content creator is not a number that exists. That number cannot be conjured. That number cannot be loaned. That number cannot be crowdfunded. Even if every single fan she has ever had emptied their wallets at the same time, she would not get to that number. So when the courts come for that money, they are not coming for a check. They are coming for assets. They are coming for property. They are coming for any equity she has in her businesses. They are coming for the rights to her own content library. They are coming for the right to garnish future earnings. Every dollar she earns from this point forward, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on podcasts, on appearances, on interviews, on merchandise, on book deals, on documentaries, on anything with her name on it, can be redirected straight to the people she defamed. That is not a slap. That is a chokehold. That is a chokehold that does not end until the bag is paid in full or the woman declares bankruptcy a second time. And bankruptcy a second time is a much harder door to open than the first one. Judges look at it differently. Trustees look at it differently. The court looks at you like you are using the system as a hideout. And once that suspicion attaches itself to your name, every future creditor in the world will treat you like a leper. And the saddest part, the part that's almost funny if it wasn't so sad, is that this could have been avoided with one habit. 1. Stop talking about Cardi B. That's it. That was the whole assignment. They handed her a 5-year homework sheet with one question on it, and she failed it on the first day. She did not need to mention Offset. She did not need to mention Stefan Diggs. She did not need to drop hints. She did not need to do little post and delete tap dances. She had every other celebrity on the planet to talk about. She had politicians, athletes, reality stars, actors, musicians, influencers, millionaires, billionaires, entire continents of content. But the one well she was forbidden from drinking out of was the only well she kept going back to. That tells you something deep about her. That tells you that this isn't a content strategy anymore. That tells you this is a compulsion. Because a strategist would have looked at the math, looked at the contract, looked at the discount, and said, I'm taking a vacation from this topic. I'm going to keep my head down for 5 years. I'm going to pay 1.2 and walk away with my career intact. But Tasha K didn't do that. She couldn't do that. And now everybody is watching the very predictable consequences play out in real time. Now, let's talk about the lawyer for a second, because this is where things go from bad to historic. In 2026, the legal industry has been having a quiet little war with artificial intelligence. There are attorneys all across the country who, instead of doing actual legal research, have been letting chatbots draft their court filings. The bots cite cases. The cases sound real. The case names look real. The numbers look real. The legal reasoning sounds real. There's only one problem. Half of those cases never existed. The bots make them up. They hallucinate. They invent legal precedent that has never happened. And when those filings hit the desk of the opposing counsel, you better believe the opposing counsel is checking. Cardi B's team checked. They went case by case, citation by citation, footnote by footnote. They found phantom cases. They found cases that nobody could pull up in any database. They found cases that, when you search the docket, simply did not exist. And they handed that evidence to the judge. The judge is the one with the power to sanction. And sanction the judge did. Because filing fake citations isn't just sloppy. It isn't just embarrassing. It is a violation of the duty every lawyer owes to the court. It's the kind of thing that, in a worst case, could lead to a bar complaint. It's the kind of thing that gets you written up in legal journals as a cautionary tale. So Tasha K's attorney is not just paying a fine. He is paying a fine that comes with his name attached to it forever. Whenever a future client Googles him, this case is going to come up. Whenever a future judge sees his name on a filing, this case is going to come up. Whenever a future opposing counsel wants to embarrass him, this case is going to come up. He didn't just lose. He bought himself a permanent reputation upgrade in the worst direction. And there is a darker question hovering over this whole AI citation mess that nobody is talking about loud enough yet. Did Tasha K know? Did she sign off on those filings without reading them? Did she have any idea her own lawyer was outsourcing the most important legal moment of her life to a chatbot? Because if the answer is no, then she has a malpractice case against him that could partially recover her losses. That is not a small thing. That is potentially the only lifeline she has left. And if I were her, the very next phone call I would make before another Instagram skit, before another podcast appearance, before another joke about losing, would be to a malpractice attorney who specializes in technology-related legal failures. Because if her own lawyer fed AI hallucinations into her case, and those hallucinations are part of why the judge sanctioned her, then her lawyer's insurance might have to step in and pay her back. That is a battle worth fighting. That is a battle that could turn this from a total wipeout into a partial recovery. But she will not file it. Because she does not move like a strategist. She moves like a performer. And performers do not call malpractice lawyers. Performers do skits about losing and hope the audience laughs hard enough to forget they actually lost. And while all of this is happening, while the lawyer is paying his fine, while Tasha is paying her fine, while the takedown orders are stacking up like dirty dishes, Cardi B is doing what Cardi B always does. She is winning quietly. Cardi B isn't out here making a victory video. Cardi B isn't out here doing a lap. Cardi B doesn't need to. Her legal team is doing the work. Her lawyers are filing the motions. Her receipts are doing the talking. And the smartest move she ever made was hiring people who play the long game. Because the truth is, this case has been a long game from day one. Tasha thought she could outlast it. Tasha thought she could outshout it. Tasha thought the bankruptcy would be the escape hatch. Tasha thought the deal would be a finish line. But in reality, the deal was just a leash, and every time she pulled on it, the leash got shorter. And now she's at the end of it. There's nowhere left to walk. There's no more room to maneuver. The judge has already ruled. The attorney has already been fined. The takedowns are already mandatory. And the next motion, the one Cardi's team is sharpening right now, is the one that converts the discounted debt back into the full debt. That motion is not theoretical. That motion is being typed out as we breathe. Now, I want to ask you something, because I want your real opinion on this. Forget the gossip for a second. Forget who you like and who you don't like. Look at the math. Look at the contract. Look at the behavior. Tasha K signed a piece of paper. She agreed to silence. She received a discount of more than $2.5 million in exchange for that silence. She broke the silence over 25 times in documented, screenshot-ready ways. Is it fair, is it right, is it appropriate for the discount to be revoked and the full $3.9 million to come due? Or do you think the court should give her one more chance, one more warning, one more soft landing because she's a content creator and content creators say wild things for a living? I want to hear your honest answer. Not the answer that protects your favorite. Not the answer that punishes the one you don't like. The answer that makes legal sense to you. Because the way the system is built, contracts mean what they say. And if a contract can be broken 25 times with no real consequence, then no celebrity, no executive, no creator, no corporation would ever sign one again. The whole point of a settlement is that it ends the war. If Tasha can keep firing shots from inside the truce, then the truce was never real, and Cardi has every right to march back to court and demand the original verdict. There's another layer I want you to sit with, because it's the layer most people miss. This is no longer just about Tasha K. This is about every blogger, every commentator, every reaction channel, every T account that has ever crossed the line from opinion into defamation. Because the verdict from 2022, combined with this most recent ruling, is now case law that other celebrity legal teams are going to be quoting for years. The blueprint is on the table. Sue. Win the verdict. Negotiate the discount with a non-disparagement clause. Watch the offender break the clause. Go back. Get the full amount. Get the takedowns. Get the legal fees. Get the lawyer sanction for using AI-generated cases. The entire playbook is now visible. And every celebrity who has ever felt like a blogger lied on them is taking notes. So the next time you see a content creator panic deleting a video the second the lawyers send a notice, just know that they are running the exact same play Tasha K ran, and they're about to get the exact same result. The post and delete game does not work anymore. The internet remembers. The lawyers archive. The judges read. And the discounts disappear. Now here is the angle nobody else covering the story is brave enough to bring up, and I want to plant it in your brain so you can watch for it over the next 6 months. Tasha K, in her Instagram skit, accidentally revealed something her lawyer probably wishes she would have kept private. She joked that we got fined. She joked that the order was about to be entered. She joked that her own logo was on some of the content she had to take down. Read those clues again. The logo. The takedown reaching content with her own branding. That tells you that part of her business identity, the visual mark she has built her entire empire around, is now legally tangled with content the court has ordered her to remove. And depending on how broad the takedown order ends up being, this could mean entire playlists, entire upload archives, entire monetization streams from the back catalog are about to disappear. We are not just talking about the new violations. We are talking about everything in her library that even loosely references the name she was forbidden to mention. That is not a haircut. That is a clear cut. That is a creator watching years of evergreen revenue. The videos that quietly earn money in the background while you sleep get yanked off the platform one by one. And nobody, not even her, fully understands yet how bad that financial bleed is going to feel 6 months from now when the ad revenue reports start coming in 50, 60, 70% lighter than they used to. There is also a karma dimension to this that I want to put on the table without preaching at you because I think you can handle it. Tasha K built her career by treating other women's lives like content. Their pain became her thumbnails. Their breakups became her opening lines. Their addictions became her segment dividers. Their court cases, their custody battles, their alleged secrets, all of it repackaged for clicks. And for a long time, the system let her do it. The system let her do it because the women she targeted often didn't have the resources to fight back, or they didn't have the patience, or they didn't have the team, or they decided silence was cheaper than war. Cardi B was different. Cardi B had the resources. Cardi B had the patience. Cardi B had the team. Cardi B had the appetite for war. And what Cardi B has done, more than win money, more than win a verdict, more than win a sanction, is she has set a precedent that says, if you build your career on lying about me, I will spend my career making sure your career ends in a courtroom. That is the precedent. That is the signal. And every blogger who is too smart to ignore signals is reading this case and rethinking their entire content calendar. And before I go, I have to address the fans, because there's always somebody in the comments saying, leave Tasha alone. She just talks for a living. Why is Cardi being so harsh? It's just words. I need you to understand something very clearly. Cardi did not have to take this back to court. Cardi could have ignored it. Cardi could have absorbed the disrespect like so many other celebrities are forced to do every day. But Cardi made a decision a long time ago that her name was going to be defended every single time it was misused. And she has put her money behind that decision. She has paid lawyers. She has shown up to depositions. She has sat in courtrooms. She has done the boring, expensive, time-consuming work of protecting her reputation while everyone else was just talking about it on Instagram Live. That is the difference between a celebrity who survives the internet and a celebrity who gets eaten by it. The ones who survive don't just clap back online. They go to court. They get verdicts. They get judgments. They get takedowns. And they make sure the lesson is permanent. Tasha K just became Cardi B's permanent lesson to everybody else. Let me also speak to the people who are sitting in the comments right now defending Tasha K because they vibe with her personality, because they think she's funny, because they like her energy. I understand the loyalty. I do. Loyalty to a creator you grew up watching is real. But loyalty does not require lying. Loyalty does not require pretending that violating a court-ordered settlement 25 times is a personality quirk. Loyalty does not require defending a woman who took $2.5 million in financial relief from another woman and then turned around and used her free time to keep attacking that woman's family. That is not personality. That is malice. And there's a difference between supporting a creator and enabling a creator. Supporting a creator means buying her merch and watching her videos. Enabling a creator means convincing her that consequences don't apply to her. And every fan who jumps in her comments to tell her she did nothing wrong is helping her dig the hole she is currently sitting in. The kindest thing the fans could do at this exact moment is tell her, gently and clearly, "Sis, you have to stop." The next post might be the post that takes the rest of your business with it. But the fans won't say that. The fans will laugh at the skit. And the skit will keep her doing exactly what got her here. There is also a side conversation we have to have about Stefon Diggs being named in this agreement, because that detail keeps getting glossed over in every other recap I have seen. When the original deal was negotiated, Cardi's team did not just protect her immediate household. They protected the next layer out. They named the people who would predictably become topics of conversation if Cardi's personal life entered a new chapter. That is forward-looking lawyering. That is the kind of clause writing that anticipates what gossip channels do months and years before they do it. And that is why Tasha K's legal team got steamrolled when they tried to argue that Offset was an independent figure she should be allowed to discuss. The contract had already foreseen that exact argument and shut the door on it. So every time Tasha thought she had found a workaround, she was actually just running into a wall that had been built specifically to stop her. The agreement was a maze, and there was no exit. There never was an exit. The only exit was silence. And silence was the one currency she refused to spend. Let me also remind you, because the timeline matters, that this is not the first time courts have been losing their patience with the post and delete strategy. Other states have been quietly hammering creators who try the same maneuver, and the case law has been hardening for years. Judges across the country have started treating ephemeral posts the same way they treat permanent ones, because they understand the new internet. They understand that a post deleted after 6 hours has already reached more people than a newspaper article would have reached in 1985. They understand that virality is the punishment, not the post itself. So when Tasha's lawyer walked into court and tried to lean on the idea that she took it down, Your Honor, that argument did not just fail. That argument insulted the judge's intelligence. Because every judge sitting on a defamation bench in 2026 has read articles, attended seminars, and presided over cases that all teach the same lesson. Deletion is not redemption. Deletion is evidence. The fact that you took it down proves you knew you should not have posted it in the first place. And once you have established that knowledge, the entire legal logic of "it was a mistake" collapses on itself. There is also a piece of this story that the mainstream blogs keep ignoring, and I refuse to let it slide. The quiet weapon Cardi's team has been using this whole time is documentation. Not lawyers, not lawsuits, documentation. Long before any motion was filed, somebody on her team was waking up every morning and running a search. Cardi B Tasha K, Offset Tasha K, Stefon Diggs Tasha K, hour by hour,
Day by day.
month by month. Whenever a video popped up that touched the line, that team archived it before Tasha could blink. They were not catching her by accident. They were hunting her by routine. And that is the real reason the binder hit 25 entries. Not because Tasha was extra messy this year. Because somebody on the other side was extra prepared every day. That kind of patience is not glamorous. It does not make headlines. It does not get reaction videos. But it wins courtrooms. It crushes opponents. It produces evidence so thick that no judge can pretend the pattern is innocent. And every creator watching this case should be writing that lesson down in big, bold, permanent letters. The other side is always taking notes. The only question is whether you give them a notebook full of nothing or a notebook full of you. So, where does this leave us tonight? It leaves us with a content creator who is staring down a legal mountain she cannot climb. It leaves us with a lawyer who just got fined for citing AI hallucinated cases in a real courtroom. It leaves us with a judge who has signaled, very clearly, that the patience of the court is officially exhausted. It leaves us with a Cardi B legal team that is going for the full 3.9 million, and based on everything I've read, they're going to get it. It leaves us with takedown orders that will strip Tasha K's catalog of years of content. It leaves us with sanctions, fees, fines, and a paper trail that will follow both Tasha and her attorney for the rest of their professional lives. And it leaves us with the question that every gossip channel on this platform should be asking themselves quietly tonight. If she could do it, can I be next? Because the playbook is public now. The receipts are public now. The blueprint is public now. The era of post, delete, and pretend it never happened is officially over. Anybody who wants to test that can call Tasha K's lawyer, if they can still afford to answer the phone. Let me leave you with one more thought, the kind of thought that should sit in the back of your mind every time you log on to talk about somebody you have never met. What Cardi B has done in this courtroom is bigger than Cardi B and bigger than Tasha K. It is a public masterclass in how to hold the internet accountable. It is a textbook example of how a woman with resources can refuse to be a punching bag. It is a wake-up call to every creator who has ever confused free speech with consequence-free speech. Free speech means the government cannot lock you up for your opinions. Free speech does not mean a billionaire-adjacent woman with a top-tier law firm cannot sue you into oblivion if you spread lies about her. Those are two different conversations. Tasha K seems to have spent years confusing them. The court just clarified the distinction with a sledgehammer. And that clarification is going to ripple out across this whole industry, from the biggest gossip blogs to the smallest reaction channels, because every one of them just learned, in real time, what the actual price of crossing a celebrity with a real legal team looks like. And I want to predict what happens next, because if you have been watching this saga as long as I have, the next chapter writes itself. Step 1. Tasha K does another video. Probably within a week. Probably within days. Maybe within hours of you watching this. She will tell herself she has learned her lesson, but she will get back on camera and she will mention something close to the line, because that is what dopamine does to a habitual offender. Step 2. Cardi's lawyers screenshot it before lunch. They do not even need to hunt anymore. They have alerts. They have monitors. They have a system. The screenshot is logged before Tasha has finished editing the thumbnail. Step 3. Another motion is filed. Step 4. Another fine is issued. Step 5. The full debt comes due, accelerated, with interest, in a single judgment that her current bank account cannot survive. Step 6. We sit on YouTube and watch the receipts get read out loud one more time. That is the loop. That has always been the loop. And until somebody close enough to Tasha takes the phone out of her hand, the loop will keep tightening like a noose. Drop your honest take in the comments. Do you think it's fair for the full 3.9 million to come back? Do you think Tasha will pay it? Or do you think she'll find another bankruptcy loophole? Do you think the lawyer should lose his license, or just take the fine and learn the lesson? And the big one, the one I'm most curious about, do you think any of this finally teaches content creators that words have a price tag in court? Tell me below. I read every single one. And I'll see you on the next update, because trust me, with this story, there is always a next update. Talk soon.